Hello, this is Mayel and Bengochea for EDRL 467. And today I'm going to be doing my sociogram and kind of the character study and walk you through the characters in this book. It's called Merci Suàrez Changes Gears. And it won the Pura Belpre Award and the John Newbery Award. It's by Meg Medina. And I highly recommend this book for any of your students, just a fun read for teachers too. But you can see it's well loved, and I so enjoyed reading this in my children's literature class last semester, and I just kind of quick read through again so I could do this sociogram, and just kind of fell back in love with it. And it goes really well with our themes in bilingual ed and in cultural ed and for English language learners, period. Just the diversity in this book is something all classrooms need to hear. So this book is by Meg Medina, and she lived a diverse life, and she brought her diversity to this book. And I think that's why she's such a great author, and she was able to win the awards. So let me share my screen with you, and I'll show you some of the characters and how they're connected and why I loved this book so much. All right, so there is a bike on the cover of this book, and there is a bike on my slide because that is a central, just a symbolic. She's changing gears, like changing gears on her bicycle, but she's changing so much in her life. She's adolescent. So this book is really for kiddos changing, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th, even 7th graders, just for fun. And some maybe advanced 4th and 5th graders. Okay, so Merci Suàrez Changes Gears. That's what we're going to talk about today. So in the middle, we have our main character, Merci Suàrez. She is a Cuban American child, and she's the child of Cuban immigrants living in Florida. She's 11 years old, and she's on scholarship. So she has to do community service and work real hard for that scholarship to go to a private school. And she works real hard for her education, but she's not quite like those kiddos that aren't on scholarship, don't have to do that extra community service and work hard for their tuition for school. So, like I said, Merci is the daughter of 2 Cuban immigrants. Her mom, she calls Mommy. Her name is Anna, and her dad, she calls Papi, and his name is Enrique. And so they are Cuban immigrants from Florida. So they have that extended family kind of living situation. And they live next to grandparents, so kind of an extended Latin family, grandparents, daughter and her kids, as well as another daughter and her kids, all living in the same Las Casitas, like 3 little pink houses in a row, kind of connected, but little separate living spaces for the families as well. So of course that the theme in this is family or bust. So they're really the importance of family, and especially when you're going through changes and things like that, and communication between family and being there for family members is all throughout this book. And then there's some other themes as well that we'll talk about in a minute. So Merci lives next door to her grandparents, her grandmother, she calls abuela, her grandfather, she calls Lolo, kind of like abuelo, Lolo. And they have a super strong bond. But abuelo, Lolo, he's kind of starting to get forgetful. And we'll talk about that in a minute too. And then she, in the next house, another house is also her tia Inés, her aunt. And then her tia Inés has two sons, two twins, Axel and Tomas, who are little guys that go to kindergarten. And then Merci has a brother, Rolando or Rolly, who is older than she is, learning how to drive, starting high school, and he's a science genius, very smart. So yeah, and then Merci goes to Seaward Pines Academy, and of course has the support of her teachers, and she has friends. So for her community service, for her scholarship, she has to be a sunshine buddy and kind of welcome, and do an orientation and help a student kind of fit in. Her friend Michael Clark. So she's not at first real excited about having that extra duty and being a sunshine buddy because she's trying to fit in herself, but she ends up really making a friend in Michael. And then there's, of course, the mean girls at school, Edna Santos, who's always perfect in her assignments. Her outfit is better and her assignment's better. And then there's lots of other friends that support Merci at school and some other little side stories that are kind of fun. So just a quick overview. Merci, like I said, she's the child of Cuban immigrants, lives in a 3-house row called Las Casitas, lives with her extended families, as a lot of Latin families do. She lives with her mommy Ana, papi Enrique, and her older brother Rolly. Mercy's aunt Tia Inés lives in another house, and Mercy's grandparents Lolo and Abuela live in the last house. And I just really think the author Meg Medina does a wonderful job connecting the characters and weaving their kind of lives together. And she just uses the characters and the setting and the plot to make the reader know that Merci always feels loved. Even though she's going through these big changes, she feels loved. And she's in her safe and secure place. And the plot's easy to follow and flows, and each chapter focuses on either something going on at home, her family life, or school and friends. And the interactions at school show the changes. The school life shows the changes she's going through and how she doesn't feels comfortable at home, but not always as comfortable at school. Kind of feels like an oddball, or left out at school, or just learning to make friends. And of course, there's the diversity and the a little bit socioeconomic difference, and a lot of the other kids at the school come from affluence and they have money to go on fancy vacations and live in big houses, but Mercy's on scholarship, and she's learning, but she doesn't always have that ability to naturally be mature and be the bigger person, make the right choice. And she's learning how to navigate those awkward social situations with her friends at school, and how they might have something she doesn't, or she really wants this new bike, and she's working hard and saving up, babysitting, and then but she just has a lot of life changes, a lot of things going on at home. and there's some references to being an adolescent, like using Snapchat and cell phones, and showing she's still young and needs her family, but uh, she's still young, but she still needs her family to navigate those big changes. And she kind of really puts in that extended Latin family important theme. Um, with her grandparents, Abuela and Lolo are like the anchors of the family, making sure, Tia Ines gets to work, and Mercy's mom gets to work, and the kids get to school, and that they're safe, happy, and healthy, and getting a good education. And you can tell the grandparents will do whatever it takes for them, to help. And then some things happen, and there's lots of changes at school, and keeping grades up is hard, and helping take care of family is tough. But Mercy starts to worry about Lolo, her abuelo, her most important connected person, which I kind of can really relate, because I was really connected to my grandmother in this way as well, and she started to have dementia and things like that. And so Lolo's been acting strangely, picking up the wrong twins from kindergarten. He fell from his bike, calling people by the wrong names, getting angry over nothing. And Mercy's kind of looking for that security and reassurance, but her family doesn't want to tell her what's the reality, what's really going on. And just the reality stares her in the face one day when Abuelo's in the middle of the road and he just doesn't know where he's at. So it's a light and upbeat read, but also some really serious parts. But just it ends on a light note too, them celebrating Christmas, and it's a great, fun, light, quick read. So if I was using a book like this in my classroom, this would be with older students. So I would encourage them to be using like a journal, daily journaling on, and sticky notes on character traits and what they learned about each character each day, and what happened in the plot with the character each day. And then we would have just discussion and an ongoing posters, and have them physically represent those characters with shapes, and make a poster and physically connect those lines. The grandparents and their children, and then the abuela and Lolo and Tia Ines and the mom are, like a family tree, or and the lines connecting them with descriptions of how each character is connected. And so I would show lots of examples, lots of support. And even in the older grades, I wouldn't assume that students have done this assignment before, because this is something going deeper into literature is something not a lot of curriculums. Character study is something in curriculums, but not character study in this way where it's physically represented, or I just wouldn't assume students have done this before. So I would show them lots and lots of examples, and just kind of have that ongoing working project throughout each chapter, and add to, as we read each chapter, either a digital on a Google Jamboard, or a poster that we're adding to each day. And do we have a new character today? Let's put up our new character. Did we have any new description words, or did anybody have any connections between characters today? And we would just add those after each chapter read. And I would definitely have a lot of grace I would definitely create one together as a class with my English language learners, especially. Maybe reteach, after we do a class example, have them then start to create their own, their own example of a sociogram of a book, another book they're reading. But I would have them, I would support them with, reteaching if needed, and have them get started, but check for understanding continuously throughout the process of, do they know how we're completing this task? And I wouldn't, at first, I wouldn't require huge details like the dashed lines that are an inferred connection and the solid lines that are solid connect, like a stated connection in the book. But those are details that we could work on in conference, during writing conferences, we could conference about and add to. And then I think description words would be kind of hard for some English language learners, and I think you really have to support the vocabulary with pictures, support that vocabulary, and use the sources, and try to help them find those great word choices that they're trying to use to describe those characters and the connection between characters. And then in presenting the language is going to be challenging for English language learners as well. So I would support them with sentence starters and sentence stems, and kind of model how I would present my sociogram and my connection between the characters in my book, and give them an outline for their presentation and expectations and sentence starter, and say, I need at least a sentence about each character, and I need some words like, this character is connected to this character because, or in this way, or give them sentence frames. So it could be a really challenging but very fun learning process in a classroom. And I think it'd be really fun with older students to do a digital version, or even in groups, have them create as a group and have jobs, note takers and readers and researchers and things like that, and work together to get the materials and the different jobs to get a rough draft done and present that as a group. So yeah, I really enjoy children's literature, and I love walking students through things like this, like connections between characters, and just getting in the reader's mind, the student's mind, as they read a fun book like this, and sharing my love of reading and how I felt when I read this book. And then, just having discussion about literature with kids is just so cool. And this just really facilitates that. So yeah, if you haven't read Merci Suàrez Changes Gears by Meg Medina, you should.